All right, they're going to sell Runnells. They're going to close it down, probably within 6 months. You could see it coming.
Well, let me
This is all opinion.
Yeah,
This is
let me
what
just
happened.
explain. Go ahead.
No, well, yeah, I'm just setting this up. But you can see the handwriting in the wall, and Dakotas wants another $500,000. I think it's pronounced Dakotas, not Dakoitus, but
Whatever.
Dakotas might.
The way they're giving it to us, coitus fits pretty
the
well.
way they're working it is Dakotas Dakoitus is going to get their $200,000 to $500,000 to meeting. This all goes to a resolution where, oddly enough, they had a study due January 15th about Runnells and what to do with it. And as Frank Guzzo said, the option of waiting 6 months and sending it to the UCIA was not in that study, but that's how they decided to go with it.
Let me yeah, because that was my question, I actually.
Well, basically, this is what happened at the meeting. This is going to be like 5 minutes of in and out, whatever stuff. And then we'll come back and rip it apart.
End here, 583, the Union County Memorandum of Understanding with the UCIA and Runnells Hospital. Somebody mentioned, it was recommended, that was the terminology. My question is, who was the one that recommended the Union County Improvement Authority get involved in this Runnells study? And is there a cost involved?
It was regarding UCIA, and just who made the recommendation. I think that was the study we did last year, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
All right, great.
583, resolution authorizing memorandum of understanding between the county and Union County Improvement Authority and Runnells. What is the time frame to report back on that? And who is leading? That's an internal thing that's going on. So who is the team leader on that? Who's the head of the committee? And if you can tell me who's on the committee.
83 and 584, I guess the question was, I know 584 is going to be an internal study, correct, in regards to the combination of the authorities?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I believe the question was who in the county is leading that study, and obviously the county manager would be leading anything and putting together whatever team as we get into this. The resolution is not actually due. There is no time frame for the study relative to Runnells at this point. The first step is to have you authorize this resolution this evening so that we can begin to put it together. All of those details will be spelled out as we get into the memorandum and will be available at that time.
And the same can be said for 583. We're still in the process of putting that team together. So.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Just want to delve a little into 583, that Runnells study, or moving it to the UCIA. I don't remember the CHR study. I don't know the details, so I don't know which option this was, or whether there was an option back in that January study to wait 6 months and then throw it to the UCIA. And we took that. I don't know if that was what it was supposed to be. But what keeps gnawing at me is why you have the study. I thought it was laid it out, and you could be doing this yourself. The question I have basically is this, because UCIA is pretty much Dakota's money. I mean, they make $1 million a year as general counsel, and they have all these things that they charge for. So I'm guessing this will, because there's a new director at the UCIA. So I don't know what exactly would they be doing. So I'd kind of like to know what they're doing, what the UCIA would, is there a time frame for this, and any costs associated, or what you expect the costs that the UCIA will come up with. Because I don't know why the UCIA is involved, and why you couldn't just hire Dakotas to do this for you here, unless it has something to do with Dakota's campaign contributions for 09 through 11, where they got their lawyers to pony up $30,000 per election cycle. Is this a way to get around that? So I think that's 3 questions that kind of stumbled out. So it's just, but if you want to add anything to this, just, what you expect, a time frame, costs, and whether this is a way to, the campaign stuff. That's it.
I don't know about all that, but when we did have the CHR report, it's my recollection, they went through a number of transactions involving county-run hospitals. And there were a number of options and examples that they showed, one ranging from a direct sale through auction of the asset, or a number of counties utilized their improvement authorities as a vehicle to change how they were running their facility. So I would say that this resolution is in line with exploring those options for this board. However, there were some specific questions regarding the budget, and I'd like to swing that over to Director Guzzo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a copy of the report in front of me, and I just want to be clear that nowhere in it does it say that in 6 months this is going to be kicked over to the authority at all. It's not in the report. It never was in the report. And in terms of what happens, it's not going over to the authority. This resolution does not kick the hospital over to the authority. What this report does is the freeholders have said they're going to allow the authority on their behalf to look at the options delineated within that report, which range from doing nothing to outright sale, and coming back with information on those delineations or on those options available to the board, so that the board then can look at the information and make the best decision available to them for the public and the taxpayers and the freeholders at large.
Thank you very much, Director Guzzo.
Question about Dakotas and UCIA wasn't answered either. So I'll just put out there that I think Dakotas is probably going to get 200 to 500,000 fees for this. They're going to recommend selling, and their fees are going to be paid on what they sell the hospital for. Well, it seems like a waste if you're going to sell it anyway. But if you'd like to comment on that or refute it, but that's probably what's going to happen. All right, get to ripping.
I'm not going to rip, but and I think we mentioned this before, and I even wrote a letter to the editor to the newspaper. It was back in January, February timeframe. But what it was, they had a study by CHR, came in, it was during an agenda setting session, so it was never filmed. But they gave a presentation, and I go to these meetings along with Paul Payton of Westfield Leader. And I listened to the numbers, and they gave out 3 options. One was to do nothing, one was to just sell out off the beds, and the third was actually to sell the hospital but keep the psychiatric license, something like that. And this CHR corporation who studied it, they said, if you do nothing, this year you lost $17 million in the budget. Next year you lose $19 million. If you sell off the beds, I think you'd make like $10 million, and you'd still own the hospital. Oh, and then there was like just squeezing out efficiencies. You'd save $4 million. So there was a couple options put on the table, and they presented it to the freeholders for their deliberation. So there was a study done. Since then, and by the way, CHR actually had a lot of numbers, and they made sense. But to tell you the truth, if you can trust the numbers that the Union County actually gave CHR to develop this, you come out with a $17 to $19 million loss per year in the county budget. 5 years ago, the county only supposedly lost $500,000. But now that Runnells is a hot issue, somehow they may have cooked numbers up and said, oh, now Runnells is losing $17 million. But the big question that comes up is, and the freeholders are using this obviously for grandstanding, that they're very, very concerned about the hospital services have to be maintained. Health services for the residents are a priority. And so we don't know what to do at this point. But you know what? Listen to the numbers. We know exactly what they're going to do. John Berry had a lead-in. They're going to close it and sell it. This is horrible. This is actually horrible because the county basically screwed it up operationally. They plugged all sorts of patronage jobs in. There's such rampant waste. The county watchers have found this out, and have posted it online. And the 17 to 19 million, I don't know if it's true or not, but it is millions of dollars of loss based on waste. Freeholder Sullivan tried to spin it. He goes, oh, well, it's a cut in Medicare reimbursables. And even Freeholder Bergen, which I would like to respond to him later on, but he jumped on the bandwagon and said, oh, it's a cut in reimbursables also. But to tell you the truth, I was at this meeting. CHR said that 4 years ago, the reimbursable rate was $208, and today it's $222. So how you can actually come up with a cut in reimbursables when a number goes from 208 to 222 is beyond me. But this is the freeholders' idiocy thinking, I guess. So I mean, they never make any sense. We've refuted all their numbers. This is just another issue. What it is, they do want to close the hospital. It's a white elephant to them. I guess the good side of it, outside of all these poor people getting laid off, the workers in the trenches, where the patronage jobs are now swung back to the county employ. But the good thing is at least the taxpayers will make money from the selling of the hospital, and these losses, whatever they really are, at least will stop. So I mean, there is.
But selling, do you think that, well, with these numbers, is anybody going to buy? I mean, the issue is, I think that they're going to let it off, go to Dakotas. They're going to go for 4 or 5 months, and then right after the election, mid-November, they're going to announce, we tried, nobody wants to buy it, we got to close it, and November something, it'll be closed.
After the election.
Yeah.
By the way, there was a time frame that CHR put to sell the hospital, and this is the mid-year, this is January, and they said by mid-year you have to make a decision to start moving forward as to what your option is. And here it is mid-year. And they put a time frame out, and they said after that there would be like 60 to 90 days to come up with proposals, another 60 to 90 days for so-and-so. And they said probably within the first quarter, the second quarter of 2014, the final disposition of this hospital, whatever your decision will be, the final disposition will be put into place. So it appears, obviously, by this resolution they're putting on there, that yes, they're moving forward according to CHR's timeline request. So, and we know the end
result. And Dakotas is going to spill $200,000 to $500,000 for it, and they're going to come out with either somebody will come in and buy the hospital, they're going to close it down, or maybe the third option could be they could have a Red Knot 2 over there. Maybe that's...
Yeah, another bracket.
Turn into
But every you were right. Every step of the way, the UCIA obviously will be involved.
Yeah.
And who's with UCIA? Who does actually the work for the UCIA? Dakotas.
Yeah, they'll see.
So every one of these steps of the timeline, Dakotas will be reviewing, typing up things, processing paperwork, researching, whatever they do. It'll probably be $500,000, possibly more. And it's just more money being funneled to Dakotas when we already can see the writing on the wall, as John said. It's a fact, and it's sad. It's very sad because it's not the hospital itself. It's the freeholders and their incompetence, and that whole operating system is rampant with abuse and waste.
Yes, Bruce. And they did this study in January. In February, they moved the major patronage jobs out of Runnells. They added them to the regular county employee
$1
list.
million.
So I don't know how much, offhand I don't know, it was a lot of money, but they did move them off the list. And we did a study a few years ago. We studied the payroll, and we went department by department and studied it. And we came up with employees that were actually working for Runnells, but they were on the county payroll. So Runnells numbers were always close. So who knows what they handed to be studied. And according to the freeholders, just 2 years ago, Freeholder Kowalski said during a debate, Runnells is an extremely successful institution. This was 2 years ago. And she went on to say, this Democratic team, we have made sure Runnells is self-sustaining economically and is moving very solidly in the future. And this is a tell-all sign here. Freeholder Sullivan accused one of the Republicans of, she made a comment, and he replied, don't be misled by what you're hearing here tonight. When you hear, we're going to examine this, we're going to work at it, they have a plan to get rid of it. We lost Muhlenberg Hospital, we've lost Union Hospital. Where are our seniors going to go? So I guess according to Sullivan, the seniors should go to hell for all he cares. Because this is him saying, when you say you're going to look at something, you're going to study it, that means you're going to get rid of it. So that's definitely exactly what they're doing. That's Freeholder Sullivan's words right there.
Yeah, but bottom line, let me just to wrap up the comment, you have to understand the same people that screwed up Runnells Hospital totally are the same ones that are making the decision whether to keep it or not. So, I mean,
And they're still on the payroll.
And
They're still making a buck.
and there's so. Thank you very much. You have anything else?